Hi, Magic the Gathering players. It's Ivy again. We're gonna go ahead and do another deck construction video. This one's for Magic the Gathering's version, of course, of Eldritch horrors like Cthulhu and all that kind of stuff, also known as Eldrazi's. Now, this is an all colorless deck, so there's no colors in here. People can't get protected from anything in this deck because it's all colorless. So definitely a good interesting kind of way to build one where it's a surprise for a lot of people. A lot of people just don't see it coming. So, if you have a play group and you want to try this deck or build this deck, it'll definitely come as quite a surprise for a lot of people. Now let's just jump right into it. The commander is Kozilek, the Great Distortion. He costs 8 and I think 2 wastes or colorless. When you cast Kozilek, the Great Distortion, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, you draw cards equal to the difference. He has Menace. You can discard a card with converted mana cost X to counter target spell with converted mana cost X. So he's a really big boy. Now, that when he comes out, obviously you're going to want to draw up those 7 cards. Draw up to 7, and that's really helpful in Commander. So he's really a good commander to get you the card draw you need to cast more Eldrazi's and get more mana. And you'll see how the deck is put together, so you can kind of figure out how you can get this guy out, and then of course get some more Eldrazi's to do more things for you. So let's jump right into it. We're gonna go ahead and first look at our creatures, most of which are all Eldrazi. So I wanted to go with the tribal theme again for Eldrazi. This guy, Endbringer, when you untap him, you can untap him during each other player's untap step. He deals 1 damage to target creature or player. You can pay a mana, a colorless. Target creature can't attack or block this turn. And of course, you can pay 2 to get him to get some card draw. So he untaps each turn. So if you have the open mana, by the time it rolls back to your turn, you can, if you want to, draw up to 3 additional cards. So he's very useful in a game of Commander. We got this guy. He's a whole card I've been holding on to for a while. I did get him in a pack, I guess, back in Rise of Eldrazi. So he's been around for a while. When you cast Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre, destroy target permanent. He has Annihilator 4. He's indestructible. When Ulamog is put into a graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles his or her graveyard into his or her library. Now, I believe this is the highest Annihilator card that's legal in Commander. The 6 cost guy, I think Emrakul, Emrakul, that real big one that's like 15/15. You can't cast that in Commander. So, oh well, we'll take the Annihilator 4 guy. I think he's still just as good. We got Emrakul, the Promised End. I believe this one is still legal for now. We'll see. He costs 1 less to cast for each card type among cards in your graveyard. When you cast Emrakul, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. After that turn, that player can take an extra turn. Flying, trample, protection from instants. Really amazing card. So he's obviously protected from, getting punted off the field. Really helpful. Next guy, this is from the new set from Strixhaven. I put him in here because you can see what he does whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell that makes him pay 2 extra mana. So it slows them down if they're casting instants or sorceries. But if they don't have the mana to do it, well, you can copy that spell that they did, and you can go ahead and choose your targets for that copy. So really, really super helpful spell. I think it's great. This guy is really just a mana rock. That's all he is. He's just a 2/2 that generic vanilla, but he's got you tap him and you get 2 colorless mana out of him. So definitely a great mana rock to add to get your mana up to enough to cast some of these Eldrazi's. Next card we got is Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. When you cast Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, you exile 2 target permanents. He's indestructible. Whenever he attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of his or her library. So he has mill built into him. So that's just amazing. You can't beat that. Next card is going to be Scuttling Doom Engine. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So if you have little, owls or weenies out there, you can still get this in. When Scuttling Doom Engine dies, deals 6 damage to target opponent. So, it's if it's gonna do damage one way or another. Bane of Bala-Ged. Whenever Bane of Bala-Ged attacks, defending player exiles 2 permanents he or she controls. So he's got Annihilator too. They didn't really put Annihilator on it, so I don't know why. I guess they decided they didn't like that. All creatures able to block Breaker of Armies do. Now, what's good about this guy is, so let's say you have 3 or 4 Eldrazi's out, you attack with this guy. Whoever's going to block is going to, if they have 5 creatures, they all have to block this guy. They may kill him, you never know, unless he's got stuff to protect him. But the other Eldrazi's will get through, so all that Annihilator and everything else going on, if it does damage to the player or whatever, you could just wipe out a player just with 1 Eldrazi. So definitely got to have this card in there. Very helpful. Next one we got is Artisan of Kozilek. When you cast Artisan of Kozilek, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and he has Annihilator 2 built in. What's great about this is, say, when somebody counters one of your Eldrazi's, it goes to the graveyard. You play this guy next turn, you can get that guy back out into the battlefield, and they wasted a counter spell on something that you got out anyway. So very useful. Desolation Twin, he's kind of vanilla, but he comes with 2 10-10, and then he gets another 10-10. So, yeah, 2 10-10s for 10. Why not? And you'll see there's a lot of way to get mana in here that you can probably get this out pretty quickly if you get some of these mana rocks and things out. Titan's Presence, as an additional cost to cast Titan's Presence, reveal a colorless creature card from your hand. You can exile target creature whose power is less than or equal to the revealed card's power. It's an instant. I must have put it in this group, but nonetheless, it's very useful. As you can see, you can reveal something, and then of course they're all Eldrazi, so you can probably exile something on the field. So it's kind of like colorless. We'll say, I don't know, just like just targeted removal for whatever color you want to pick, basically, but for colorless. It that betrays. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, you may put that card into the battlefield under your control. So it's got Annihilator 2, so you swing in, they're going to sack those, and those permanents become yours immediately. Really cool. Next one we got is Kozilek's Channeler. Again, it's a mana rock, so you want to, I guess, get this guy out with some of the other mana-producing things, and then you can use this guy and just kind of ramp and ramp. He's basically just there for ramp, just for colorless ramp. Next one we got is Conduit of Ruin. When you cast Conduit of Ruin, you may search your library for a colorless creature card with converted mana cost of 7 or greater, reveal it, shuffle your library, and put that card on top of it. So it's tutor for Eldrazi. So whatever Eldrazi you want to get, you use this guy, you're going to be able to go get it. The first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. Let's see how important that is. You want to get these Eldrazi's out, so to get them out, you for sure need to go ahead and have stuff like this, like guys that coupon out the Eldrazi's or cheat them out for cheaper. Next card we got is Deceiver of Form. At the beginning of combat on your turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card is revealed this way, you may have creatures you control other than Deceiver of Form become copies of that card until end of turn. You may put that card on the bottom of your library. So this could have its advantages at some point. So just see how you want to kind of synergize this with something maybe in your library, and see what you can do with it, Next, Eldrazi is an Eldrazi Mimic. Whenever another colorless creature enters the battlefield under control, you may change Eldrazi Mimic base power and toughness to that creature's power and toughness until end of turn. He's a 2/1, so if I play a 10-10, now I have 3 10-10s if I use that guy. Or Emrakul or any of the other cards that just basically have a massive beat stick just sitting there. Next card we got is Ulamog's Crusher. It's Annihilator 2. It attacks each turn, of course, so he's just going to keep swinging and swinging and swinging. So, and Annihilator 2 every time is going to make people sacrifice permanents. This one has Annihilator 3. He can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. Next one we got is Oblivion Sower. When you cast Oblivion Sower, target opponent exiles the top 4 cards of his or her library, and then you may put any number of land cards that player owns from exile onto the battlefield under control. Very useful to get mana ramp from somebody else. I mean, you're taking their mana to upgrade yours. Now, theirs won't be colorless more than likely, obviously, but you can still use it. So any of the colorless, it's just the same basically on a lot of these cards because it's mana. Reality Smasher, Trample and Haste. Whenever Reality Smasher becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell unless its controller discards a card. So it forces somebody to discard a card if they want to get rid of them. So pretty useful. Next thing we got is Phyrexian Revoker. As it enters the battlefield, name a non-land card. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated. So if you have a really annoying commander that is got all these extra capabilities on the card, activated abilities on the card, you can nullify them with this little two for guy. So it's like, I thought that was great. You know, little artifact creature nullifies someone's activated abilities. So useful. Next card we got is Eldrazi Devastator. He has Trample. He's an 8/9. Just, you know, just kind of a vanilla, but, you know, he's got 8/9, so pretty useful with Trample. Void Winter. Your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana costs. Your opponents can't block with creatures with even converted mana costs. So basically, this is just kind of a whittle down people, their ability to do things. So it definitely is a good way to kind of stifle someone else's game. If they're casting things with like 2 costs, 4 costs, or 6 costs, spells, and of course the blocks with the creatures. You can see how that works. Next card we got is Matter Reshaper. When Matter Reshaper dies, reveal the top card of your library. You may put that card into the battlefield if it's a permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less. Otherwise, put that card in your hand. So it'll get you some card draw. If you're lucky, you might get it out for free if it's a 3 cost, but you never know. Probably going to get something in your hand. Next one we got is Thought Not Seer. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it and exile that card. When Thought Not Seer leaves the battlefield, target opponent draws a card. So it's, you know, it's a way to get some more exile on some stuff on the battlefield. Now, so far I only have one Planeswalker. I don't know, I might add another colorless one. But I put Ugin in because he coupons the Eldrazi by 2. Just right on, as soon as you put him out, everything would be 2 less that you have to cast. You exile the top card of your library face down and look at it. Create a 2/2 colorless spirit creature token. When the token leaves the battlefield, put the exile card into your hand. So that's really useful. Destroy target permanent that's 1 or more colors. So it does have target removal built onto the card, plus you get the coupon. So I kind of put that on there. I thought it was pretty good. Now we got a tribal sorcery, a tribal instant, Eldrazi. You can counter target spell or ability that targets something you control on the field. Not of this world costs 7 less to cast if it targets a spell or ability that targets a creature you control with power 7 or greater. So if you have some of those Eldrazi's out, this is basically a 0 cost counter spell. Boom, you can't do that. Can't kick your creature off the field. Gruesome Slaughter. Until end of turn, colorless creatures you control get tapped. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature. So you can just tap the creature without even attacking and just blow up something out there. So very useful to have this in your deck. All is Dust. Each player sacrifices all colored permanents he or she controls. It's basically a Cyclonic Rift. In this deck, you got to figure you can't put Cyclonic Rift in here. So this is Cyclonic Rift. Because all your stuff's going to stay. It's all non-colored. So most people are going to have all colored permanents. Except for maybe like their artifacts and their lands and stuff. So yeah, that'll probably clear the field. And you have Eldrazi's out and you're probably going to win. Cyclonic win only in colorless. Skittering Invasion. This gives you some little chump blockers if you need them. And you can sack them for mana. So it's a mana boost and you get little chump blockers if you really need to have little chump blockers. Alright, so now let's hit some mana rocks. This is really pretty straightforward stuff. I assume that you would assume that this is going to be in here. But we got Thran Dynamo. You add 3 colorless mana. Remember, you're going to need to generate as much colorless mana as possible. So you got 3 on there. We got Dreamstone Hedron. You get 3 mana out of this. So you got 3 colorless and 3 colorless from this. You can see where this is going. So you can get 6 out of those. Worn Power Stone gets you 2 colorless, so that's useful. Hedron Archive gets you 2. And if you want the card draw, you can pay the 2 and sack it and draw 2 cards. So that gives you some card draw. It gives you options. So you can option it as mana, or you can option it as card draw if you need the card draw. Basalt Monolith, it gives you 3 mana. And of course, if you have extra mana floating, you can untap it and save it for later, kind of thing. Pretty cool. Next one we got is Soul Ring. I'm not even going to get into that. I think everybody knows what it does. I got a little bit of equipment in here. Not much, but I thought I'd throw these in. They're colorless, so it's 2 less to activate if the target creature is colorless, so it's on theme. Everything's colorless. Trailblazer's Boots. Equipped creature has non-basic land walk. You know what? How many people do you think are probably playing non-basic lands in Commander? Oh, I don't know, like everyone at the table? So basically your creature is unblockable because they have land walk, unless their thing, I guess, has non-basic land walk, but I don't think that's a mechanic that exists except for this card. So that's pretty cool. Next thing we got is Quiet as Spike. A quick creature has Death Touch. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half his or her life rounded up. That's insane! Equip for 3, you're guaranteed to get the 6 mana somewhere in here to equip this on something. That's definitely going to be huge hate at the table. Heirloom Blade. It's got a, minor, buff to the strength and toughness. Whenever a equipped creature dies, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card that shares a creature type with it. Put that card into the hand, and the rest in the bottom of your library in random order. So it allows you to tutor for an extra Eldrazi. So if your hand doesn't have an Eldrazi in it, this guy is equipped with this, you can go get one, and you'll have access to that Eldrazi. Now, let's hit these artifacts. There's a lot of artifacts in here that do all kinds of cool things. So I'm sorry about the fingers. First one we got is Elchroma's Memorial. I try to put this in almost every deck because it's so amazing. As long as you can get the 7 mana, creatures you control have flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, and protection from black and red. That's amazing. Next one we got is Mishra's Helix. Kind of a random ad. If you're just stuck with a pile of mana on your turn, or you're on someone else's turn, you just want to tap their lands so they can't do anything for that turn. If you're sitting on 10 mana and they got 10 lands, just tap all their lands down and they can't do anything that turn. Just saying, can't cast spells if you don't have any lands to tap. I think it's really hilarious. Obviously, this is for card draw. You can see what that does, Mind's Eye. This one, it's kind of broken. Okay, it costs 5. You're going to have mana. There's lots of mana generation in this deck. You pay 3, you tap it, you put a creature card of the chosen type from your hand into play. So, I don't know, 15, 15, 12, 12. Tap for 3, I'll put them out. Maybe I'll untap this card and put out another one. You kind of see where I'm going with this? For 3, you can get out those huge Eldrazi, Annihilator, etc. I'm like, oh boy, that's just broken. Same thing with this one. Obviously it costs 4. This one costs 4 to pay and tap. You can put your creature card from your hand into the battlefield. It's just free. You see where I'm going with this? So let's put them side by side. I want you to imagine Eldrazi costs a lot, right? These two, 3 and 4 to get them out. So good. There's another way to get them out here too, which you'll see soon. Next card we have is Vanquisher's Banner. You choose your creature type as Eldrazi. Creatures you control that type get +1/+1. Who cares? Whatever. Big deal. Whenever you cast it, though, it gets you card draw. So it's a colorless deck. You gotta get card draw wherever you can get it. There's no blue here, so card draw's got to come from somewhere. So you're going to need Vanquisher's Banner in there. Next one we got is Tamiyo's Journal. You can see what it's for. It's for drawing cards. Commander, you need to draw cards. Burnished Heart. Basically, it's a tutor. It's tutoring. You want to get those wastes. You want to go ahead and search basic wastes. Okay? That's what you want to go after when you sack this. Wastes. Next card is Armillary Sphere. Same thing as the Burnished Heart. You're going to go after wastes when you sack this, because you need those. Expedition Map. Same idea. Go get a land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So, you know, if you need something, you got it. This one's basically for, you know, card draw if you need it. It's a mana rock too. We got Planner Bridge. Okay. This one's really expensive. And I was like, well, you know, I mean, I'll put it in. It's not as good as those other two I showed you, but if by the time you have enough mana to get this out, instead of paying the high cost for some of those Eldrazi's, you can, you know, use this and get it out. So it's another way to get something out if you really want to, if you need that in a pinch, you know. But you saw the other two cards that can get stuff out for much, much cheaper. I'm surprised I don't see more people running those other two. The Immortal Sun. This is great. If you have a Super Friends deck and Planeswalkers causing a lot of trouble, shut down completely. Can't use Planeswalkers. Bye. Thanks for playing. Thanks. Bye. At the beginning of your draw step, you can draw additional cards. So you get, you know, commander, you need card draw. Your Eldrazi are cheaper. Creatures, you get... This card is amazing. I don't know how or why this thing isn't in everyone's deck and like $100. It's an amazing card. Next one we got is Aetherheart Vial. Whenever you're dealt damage, you may put that many charge counters on the vial. So if people do come in to try to attack you and damage your life total, well, you can see what happens. You can gain 2 life and draw cards for them damaging you. So maybe that's an incentive for them not to hit you so much. We got Urza here. Urza's Incubator. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature, Eldrazi. And of course, you get a coupon. You get they cost 2 less to cast. There's a reason for things. Unstable Obelisk. It's a weird kind of expensive way to blow something up, but it's technically a rock and you can blow something up. So it's kind of useful in a pinch if you need it. So good to have. I put this in here to slow other people down. It causes people to have to pay 2 more to cast their spells. Could really help you get a lot of things to not be attacking your Eldrazi as much. So as the table starts filling up with people, in terms of permanents and spells in people's hands, it's going to take them longer to get the stuff out and or attack you if they have to pay 2 for everything that they have to do. And of course, each opponent loses 1 life, whatever. But it's the 2. It's the it's kind of the defensive mode of that card that's more important. Herald's Horn. Your creatures you cast 1 less to cast. So again, you're making the Eldrazi cheaper. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. So it gives you the card draw, and if it's an Eldrazi, it puts it right in your hand, so you can then get to the next card underneath that Eldrazi, which could be an artifact or a land. You never know. Next card we got is going to be Door of Destinies. Got to have it. Whenever a spell of the chosen type, your creatures get +1/+1 for each charge counter on Door of Destinies. You're just casting Eldrazi, so there you go. That's the way to do it. Alright, next one we got, these are lands. So we're going to hit up some of these are non-basics. There's a lot of non-basics in here, but you're going to see why they're there. Mikukoro, Center of the Sea. It gives you card draw. It's kind of a group hug thing, but if you need that card draw, maybe you want to have this as an option. So can't hurt to have it if you really need that card draw and it's on a land. You just pay the 2 and you get your card draw. Next we got this one. Newer card. You can target commander, gains lifelink until end of turn. So if you get your commander out and swing in with that one, well, you can get all that life back on your life total. And so it looks pretty useful to me. Figured I'd throw it in just for funsies. This one, you know, it just came out in Strixhaven. It's colorless. I was like, well, it's kind of specific. So, hey, if this ever happens to you, sure. You know what? It gives you an option to try something. So, why not? Let's just throw it in and see if it does anything in the game. This thing is amazing. You add 4 colorless mana to your mana pool. You do have to tap 2 lands, but people don't realize the amazing ramp potential of this card. 4 colorless mana. I'd never understood why this reserve list card isn't like $200. You know, I have a bunch of them from when I was a kid. Like a kid. This is old. This is like Weatherlight or something. You want to put this card in here because, you know, you can sack some, you know, lands or do things that allow you to do that anyway. And then Yeah, you get 4 colorless mana, which you need to cast Eldrazi or any of the other colorless spells. Next, we got this one. It gives you options, so you can put storage counters on it and then add to your mana pool. So if you don't use mana on your turn, well, you can store it there until your next turn and then use the mana at that time. So definitely has its uses. Wasteland, or you want to kind of take away someone's specific non-basic, well, destroy it with a Wasteland. Next card we got is Guildless Commons. When it enters the battlefield, you return a land you control to its owner's hand, but the land does give you 2 colorless mana. So again, more ramp on lands themselves. So you're going with this now. You don't have the ability to green ramp or, you know, Harrow or any of the cultivate or any of that stuff. So you got to get ramp somewhere. You're gonna have to get it off some of these lands and artifacts and stuff. Seagate Wreckage. This has card draw built in. You can activate the ability only if you have no cards in hand. So if you have an empty hand, which kind of would suck, you definitely want to probably use some mana to get yourself a card. Next one we got is Ruins of Oran Reef. You can add the mana. You can put a +1/+1 counter on colorless creature that enters the battlefield. So whatever, it gives you a +1 on it. Whatever. Urza. There's going to be the 3 Urzas. You got Urza's Mine, Tower, and Urza's Power Plant. If you've been kind of under a rock for the last 30 years with the Urza lands, as long as you have all 3 out, they tap for double mana. So basically, if you pull all 3, well, then you get 6 mana instead of 3. Shrine of Forsaken Gods. If you cast colorless spells, you can get 2 mana toward, you know, your Eldrazi's that you have out. So, but you have to have 7 or more lands, but still, it starts with 1, but then it can be more. So, I think that's amazing. Ancient Tomb. Let's see what it does. It gives you 2 colorless and deals 2 damage to you. I think everyone, you know, kind of wants Ancient Tomb. Dark Depths. This was kind of a bonus ad. I mean, honestly, I could have probably done something different, but why not? You never know. You never know, right? Maybe it goes and it happens. So I'm like, sure. Might be fun to try to get it out. Eye of Ugin. Eldrazi's cost 2 less, so they're all Eldrazi. So again, you're couponing your Eldrazi's. Search your library for a colorless creature card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle your library. So it has Tutor built in for 7, but it's colorless, and there's a lot of ways to get colorless mana in this deck. Sacrifice the Caves, you can draw a card. Again, you want to do card draw if you have 5 or more lands. So it definitely gives you some card draw middle game, you know, if you need it on your land. Next we got is this one. If you're having problems with people recurring stuff from the graveyard, well, yeah, there are some lands that can do this, but not in colorless except for this one. So, you know, or like Ground Seal or some of those other cards that cause people to not be able to play around with their graveyard. Obviously, you can see why this is in here. You know, it costs 2 less related to Eldrazi stuff. So you start stacking these up. Those expensive Eldrazi are now going to be a lot cheaper. Plus, you have mana ramp and all those other things. Sirius is going. This allows you to destroy someone's land again. And, you know, you can get rid of another non-basic land that's really kind of like a key piece somebody needs to cast something. Then, yeah. You can, of course, sacrifice this and get 2 in a pinch if you really want to get something out. Or even ramp. I mean, if you want to ramp right away with something that gives you, you know, like the next turn you get 3 mana or 4 or whatever, then yeah, you want to use that to ramp. Spawning Bed. Sacrifice it, put 3 1/1 colorless artifact, Eldrazi Scions. And of course they give you mana. So it gives you a way to get chump blockers and, you know, some mana ramp built in. Gaia Reach, each player draws a card and then discards a card. So it gives you options to get card draw. We got Radiant Fountain. You get 2 life. Buried Ruin. You can sack it and return an artifact from your graveyard to your hand. So if one of those artifacts that can allow you to get Eldrazi's out real easy, well, there you go. You can put a basic land card from your hand into play tap, so it gives you extra a land ramp to get into play. So, you know, if you have a waste in hand and then you pull it, you draw a waste, and then you can use this and put it out that turn. So very helpful. Next card is going to be Seagate Wreckage. You can see what it does. Again, it's for card draw. That's what you want it for. Next one is going to be Temple of False God. Then we got Myriad Landscape. Again, you're looking for wastes when you get these. You want to obviously use them to go fetch for wastes. Here we got Thespian Stage. You can copy certain lands that give you, you can see what it does. I mean, you have lands that give you 2 mana or something. Then you can, like an Ancient Tomb or something, you want to copy it, you can use that. Next one, we got Mystifying Maze. You can use this to exile a target attacking creature an opponent controls. At the beginning of the next end step, return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. So if something's coming after you, you can pay the 4 and then exile that creature until end of turn. So there's no blue in here, so you got to find different ways to do things that blue might normally be able to do. You can pay life with a number of colors in your commander's identity. Isn't your commander's identity colorless? So 0. So you pay 0 life and you get card draw for 3. Good way to get some extra cards in your hand on a land. A land! I think that's amazing. Incredible card. Alright, so that should do it, guys. We have cracked this entire deck. I really hope you enjoy building Eldrazi like I did. It's, you know, pretty complicated to kind of figure out a synergy there and card draw and mana ramp on cards where you just don't have any colors to work with except for colorless. You want to try to get this big boy out and get some card draw in. You know, and you can see how you can cheat them out and do all kinds of cool things with them. So, you know, hopefully you enjoyed this particular deck build. If you guys have any other questions about it, you can write them in the comments. Or if I did something wrong or you think I should, you know, put in a certain card that would work better with this synergy, then by all means, let me know. But I look forward to making more cool decks for you guys. And please like and subscribe to my channel. And keep an eye out for more videos like this one, okay? Thanks a bunch. Bye, guys.